Shivani Sharma. Shivani, these visas that were issued to the Pakistani nationals now seem to have been revoked by the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, do we have any numbers as to how many people were actually there in India, and how is it going to impact those who had come for genuine reasons like medical attention? Because obviously the infrastructure in Pakistan as far as medical resources are concerned is not that great.
See, whatever they come for, now the government has made it very clear that terrorism and any other kind of facility by India cannot go hand in hand. So the Pakistanis who are in India for any reason, even for the medical purpose, they need to go back. And all these visas have been revoked by immediate effect by the CCS decisions. And this is a fresh advisory that has come from the MEA that says that the medical visas issued to the Pakistani nationals will be valid only till 29th of April. So now the message is clear. Nothing doing. For any reason, any Pakistani cannot stay in India. And the Indians have also been recalled from Pakistan. The advisory also says that the Indian nationals who are in Pakistan, they have to avoid traveling first of all, and those who are there in Pakistan, they also are advised to return at the earliest. So the numbers are not clear, but the message is very clear that all the Pakistanis have to return to their country, and no reason is accepted by India after the Pahalgam attack.
But Shivani, it wasn't really easy to get a visa for India if you were a Pakistani, or for that matter, for Indians to get a Pakistani visa. But this particular step taken by the Indian government, how is it going to impact the relationship between the common people across the border?
It's going to impact the relationship, and also it will impact Pakistan more, because there were more Pakistanis who were getting opportunities here. There were more Pakistani actors who were getting opportunities in India. There are more cultural exchanges by Pakistan in India. More students who wanted to come here, more SARC visas that were issued to Pakistanis. So all this is now being cancelled, and this is being done deliberately by India to give a very strong message to Pakistan. And remember, this is not the only step that's being taken by India. This is the first step that is being taken by India. So the CCS that happened yesterday was not a usual CCS. The decisions that came after the CCS were not usual decisions. But yes, everybody right across from the diplomacy to the Indian citizens, they all agree to the fact that no relationship, no diplomacy can continue with Pakistan with the kind of attacks Pakistani supported terrorists are doing in India and killing innocent people.
Right. Thank you for all that information. This was Shivani giving us the update on what exactly is happening, and the government has now clearly said, don't go to Pakistan. And moving on to the big news of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has declared war against terrorism. He has vowed to punish those involved in Pahalgam terror attack. India's message is clear. PM Modi has vowed revenge against Pahalgam terror attack. PM Modi also observed a minute of silence to pay homage to the innocent lives that were killed. While addressing a public meeting in Bihar's Madhubani, the Prime Minister switched to English and sent a message to the global community. Condemning the incident, Prime Minister Modi said that India will identify, trace and punish every terrorist and their backers. He also said that India will pursue them to the ends of the earth. Prime Minister Modi said that India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. PM said that terrorism will not go unpunished and that every effort will be made to make sure that the justice is done. PM Modi also highlighted how India grieved death of victims from Kanyakumari to Kargil. He also said that India's spirit will never be broken and that terrorists had attacked India's soul.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. इस आतंकी हमले में किसी ने अपना बेटा खोया, किसी ने अपना भाई खोया, किसी ने अपना जीवन साथी खोया है। उनमें से कोई बांग्ला बोलता था, कोई कन्नड़ा बोलता था, कोई मराठी था। हमारा दुख एक जैसा है, हमारा आक्रोश एक जैसा है। ये हमला सिर्फ निहत्थे पर्यटकों पर नहीं हुआ है। देश के दुश्मनों ने भारत की आत्मा पर हमला करने का दुस्साहस किया है। अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है। मैं बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में कहना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। सजा मिलकर के रहेगी। 22 अप्रैल को जम्मू कश्मीर के पहलगाम में आतंकियों ने मासूम देशवासियों को जिस बेरहमी से मारा है, उससे पूरा देश व्यथित है। कोटि कोटि देशवासी दुखी हैं। सभी पीड़ित परिवारों के इस दुख में पूरा देश उनके साथ खड़ा है। I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
Moving on to another big news coming in, it seems that Pakistan is having a big meltdown over India's diplomatic strike. It seems that Pakistan is completely rattled, and especially since the abeyance of Indus Water Treaty, it seems Pakistan considers it an act of war. Pakistan has warned that it will be suspending Shimla Agreement. Now, the Shimla Agreement was signed in 1972, and it established the line of control in Kashmir. That is the importance of the Shimla Agreement. So it seems like they are trying to retaliate. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Shashank Mattu. Shashank, the Shimla Agreement is extremely important between the two countries, especially since it focuses on peaceful negotiation and also in clearly laying out what is the line of control and how it's going to be respected by the two countries. So what is going to be the impact of this statement that we are seeing from Pakistan right now?
Well, it's not exactly clear at this point in time what Pakistan means when it says it will suspend the Shimla Agreement. Of course, one of the key aspects of the Shimla Agreement is that the two countries, India and Pakistan, will agree to deal with the Kashmir issue bilaterally and not involve third countries, of course, as you rightly said. It also involves the line of control. But Pakistan, for several years, has tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue, bring it in front of various global forums, try to get much more global intervention going on these issues. So, if not the letter, but certainly the spirit of the Shimla Agreement has been violated by Pakistan at several points in the past. So, it's not exactly clear what they mean when they say that the Shimla Agreement therefore will no longer be respected or will no longer be followed at this point in time. Pakistan, at this point, what we've seen is, in terms of what the National Security Committee has done, is it has issued a like-for-like retaliation against India. But of course, it can't seem like they have simply copy-pasted India's retaliations as well. They have to add something to the mix as well to satisfy their domestic constituency, which is why they have made this purely symbolic statement. What it means, as I said, concretely for diplomacy is not exactly clear, and I suspect the Pakistani side doesn't know exactly what it will contribute as well to their diplomacy, because, as I said, they haven't really respected the tenets of the agreement in the past as well.
Right. And also, let us you stay with us, Shashank. Please don't disconnect. We'll be coming back to you again. But the thing is that there will be a press briefing that the Ministry of External Affairs will be taking up, and we'll soon be going there and trying to find out what exactly is happening and what is India saying, because this will be an opportunity for India to give a message to Pakistan. Meanwhile, as we just told you, the big news that has come in right now is that India has stepped up its diplomatic strike against Pakistan. India has called foreign envoys of select countries to MEA to brief them regarding Pahalgam terror attack. And Prime Minister has also given a big global message on Pakistan terror as he spoke in English in Madhubani in Bihar today. India is trying to build global solidarity against Pakistan. So as we were telling you, it seems that India now is trying to garner support from the global community. India has decided that it's going to step up its diplomatic strike. Already, India has taken 5 key steps, diplomatic steps against Pakistan. And Pakistan, of course, also seems to be retaliating by saying that they're going to cancel the Shimla Pact. But India is right now trying to garner the support of the global community, get their backing so that they can move forward with what they plan. India has decided to call the foreign envoys of select countries to MEA and to brief them regarding this terror attack. It is important for India to get the support of these countries, because if there is an action taken by India, then you need the global support. India, Pakistan, both member of UN. Any action taken by any country, you require support of other countries. Prime Minister has given a big global message on Pakistan terror. Let's go back to Shashank, who continues to be with us. Shashank, clearly India is using a multi-pronged approach here. Here we are using some diplomatic actions to bring Pakistan down to the knees. The other side, we are also bringing in other countries to our side, our, as we would say, our room, our gang. So what exactly is India's effort here?
Well, I think, the past experience of Indian diplomacy when it comes to the issue of Kashmir and terrorism with Pakistan is really informing India's strategy here. If you might recall that after the 26/11 attacks, for example, India faced a great deal of restraint when it came from the international community, because the instinct of the international community when it comes to any sort of India-Pakistan conflagration is to get in the middle and push both sides apart and say, okay, no more fighting. The experience, of course, now is informing India's position here. They're trying to get ahead of the curve and talk to foreign countries. You've seen the Prime Minister, of course, speak on the phone with a number of important world leaders, including the Prime Minister of Australia, including the President of the United States, to make sure that they are on board and understand the Indian position as well as what India is planning to do. Because, of course, some of India's moves, for example, like the abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty, will evoke some international concern. But the Indian Prime Minister and Indian diplomacy have to explain to the international community what India is trying to achieve, and to ensure that the world community understands what India is trying to get done here, to ensure, as you said, that the world backs India, understands where India is coming from, and understands the need to punish Pakistan for its policy of sponsoring cross-border terrorism. So you're absolutely right that Indian diplomacy has been working overtime over the last couple of days to make sure that the world understands what India is trying to do and understands India's perspective.
You also look at the kind of messages that poured in after the attack from the global community, the heads of states, the country heads. It was quite clear that terrorism is something that the global community is not going to put up with. So India can here safely be assured, you know, with all these envoys coming in, that there will be a sympathy for us. Well, it seems I've lost my connection with Shashank, but we have Piyush Mishra, my another colleague, joining us right now. Piyush, how important is this meeting of global envoys of different countries, that is this briefing that is happening at the Ministry of External Affairs?
Well, Anjali, it's a very important meeting because all envoys who are right now in the country have been called by Ministry of External Affairs, and certainly the Ministry of External Affairs is briefing them about India's position after the horrific terror attack which has taken place in Pahalgam, and this attack has taken place on innocent citizens. And remember that this meeting has also come in the wake of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's strong message to the world community that yes, we will take strongest possible actions. We will not let terrorism go unpunished. Prime Minister has also said that these terrorists will be tracked, hunted and then punished. Not only them, but also the handlers of these terrorists will also be taken to the task. So after that statement, we are now seeing that Ministry of External Affairs is now briefing all envoys. Remember, Anjali, that Prime Minister today, while he was speaking there in Bihar, he also spoke in English language because he wanted to send out a message to the global community, and it seems like the message is now being resonated by the MEA also, where MEA is now telling all the envoys about the developments. MEA is also briefing all the envoys about the development and the stand which the government has taken as far as dealing with terrorism is concerned.
Right. Piyush, but it is also a very delicate thing what India is attempting here right now. Pakistan has enjoyed a certain position because of its geolocation. It has enjoyed a certain relationship with certain superpowers as well of this world. So how difficult or easy would it be for India to right now garner support and get everyone on their side?
Well, it seems like Pakistan has been completely isolated by the world community. We know how America has isolated Pakistan. Other countries have also not taken much interest in Pakistan now. In fact, after the kind of tariff war which is also going on between China and America, it's unlikely that China is going to extend its hand towards the Pakistan, because China would certainly need a market, and India is a bigger market than any other Asian country. So China would not take risk. So looking at the current geopolitical situation, Pakistan is feeling isolated, though it is trying to come out with some sort of statement claiming that it is of the tit for tat policy. But it is also important to understand that China globally has been completely isolated, and that is why the advantage is also being taken by India, where it is briefing all envoys, telling the India's stance, and it is also bound to highlight that this time the civilians have been targeted, and India will certainly retaliate back, and Pakistan will be shown its position. All countries will be briefed about that, and the message is loud and clear from the topmost office of the country, from Prime Minister's office, that yes, we will teach a lesson to Pakistan and will punish the perpetrators behind this horrific terrorist attack.
Right, Piyush, do stay on with us. Joining us now is Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs editor. Geeta, as I was just asking Piyush, how difficult a task is it for the country, India, to try and isolate Pakistan and get this global community on our side? Has the situation changed from the time when Pakistan used to enjoy a certain privilege to now?
Well, when it comes to Pakistan and terror attacks, India has been sharing details since the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. Dossiers have been shared with various countries that are stakeholders in the region, including the West, that have were massively invested in Pakistan. Now we're looking at foreign envoys at the Ministry of External Affairs. They are select countries because all the 190 cannot be called in one go. But what we are given to understand is that the countries that are there right now include the United States of America, Japan, Indonesia, European Union, the Italian ambassador, Qatar, and many others. So these are countries that are already there, being briefed by the Ministry of External Affairs officials on the Pahalgam terror attack and the involvement of Pakistan. But the National Security Committee meeting in Pakistan also concluded important decisions in terms of reciprocity. They did announce the declaring Indian military attaches in Islamabad persona non grata. However, India had already announced it yesterday that while we are going to reduce their staff, we are also reducing our own. It did not require reciprocal decision by Pakistan at all, because these are decisions that have been taken. But two very important takeaways. One, Pakistan says that any situation or circumstance where water flow is stopped into Pakistan will be looked into and treated as an act of war.
Right.
Secondly, they've also said that all international agreements, including Shimla Agreement, a big one at that, but not limited to Shimla,
Right.
will be kept
Right.
in
I'm just going to interrupt you here for a second, pardon me, but there is some big news coming in from the sources. We know that the Foreign Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, and Home Minister, Amit Shah, are present in the meeting with President of India. Now, this is big news coming in. It seems that the Home Minister and the External Affairs Minister are meeting with President Murmu. For more on this, let's go back to Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs Editor. Geeta, it seems, too many things are happening right now. There is a meeting happening where we are trying to convince the world that you need to stand with us right now. And there is also a meeting right now between the President of India, the head of state, the Home Minister, and the External Affairs Minister. So, Indian government machinery is on overdrive, it seems.
Well, it absolutely is, and not needlessly so. This was one of the biggest terror attacks. Tourists have not been targets of attacks in the valley in a very long time. But the fact that this has happened has changed dynamics completely. India, the Indian Prime Minister, in a speech today, very clearly said that diplomatic decisions have been taken that will deal a blow to Pakistan, but not necessarily as much as India would want to. The other response is still awaited, which is military response to Pakistan's actions. That certainly is something that he stated in no uncertain words when he said that this attack will be avenged, that territories, limited territories that are still there where terrorists exist, are going to be razed to the ground. That is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement. Similarly, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said the same thing during the briefing of the Ministry of External Affairs Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, while announcing diplomatic measures against Pakistan, also went ahead and ended by saying, this is not all. India will respond to this attack befittingly. So there is no doubt that while India has taken all these steps, a lot of questions on whether if these steps are just symbolism or are they substantive. I'd say they're substantive symbolism, because because trade, engagement between the two countries anyway were at its lowest ebb. So it might not impact the two countries as much, but the Indus Waters Treaty being kept in abeyance is something that has worried Pakistan, and secondly, that they are now fearful of what's going to happen and how is India going to respond. The establishment over there, the military over there, on high alert. So Pakistan needs to be wary. What India is doing right now is garnering all international support. Many would say that, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to engage foreign envoys and foreign countries to even say that we are going to take these steps?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it is important because India is a very responsible country and has always taken into account the fact that there are allies, countries that have stakes in the region, and they need to be briefed that this is India's moment of actual zero tolerance to terrorism.
Right, Geeta, do stay with us. We have another breaking news coming in, and we'll quickly take a look at that. It seems that the Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi will review security meeting and visit Baisaran tourist attack location tomorrow, the meadow where that attack happened 2 days back. The Army Chief will be going there, taking a stock of the situation and figuring out what exactly happened and how the army or the security forces need to now respond to it. So, as the big breaking news is coming in, it seems that the army or the forces are gearing up for the next phase now. It seems that the army chief will be holding a security review. It seems a lot of experts had also raised a question about the lack of security in that region, which is a huge tourist hotspot. But now the Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi will be reviewing security over there and will visit the meadow where the terrorists attacked the tourists who were visiting Pahalgam on that day. And we're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we bring you more details on this big news and some other news updates.
मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है। मैं बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में कहना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। सजा मिलकर के रहेगी। 22 अप्रैल को जम्मू कश्मीर के पहलगाम में आतंकियों ने मासूम देशवासियों को जिस बेरहमी से मारा है, उससे पूरा देश व्यथित है। कोटि कोटि देशवासी दुखी हैं। सभी पीड़ित परिवारों के इस दुख में पूरा देश उनके साथ खड़ा है। I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
Moving on to another big news coming in, it seems that Pakistan is having a big meltdown over India's diplomatic strike. It seems that Pakistan is completely rattled, and especially since the abeyance of Indus Water Treaty, it seems Pakistan considers it an act of war. Pakistan has warned that it will be suspending Shimla Agreement. Now, the Shimla Agreement was established was signed in 1972, and it established the line of control in Kashmir. That is the importance of the Shimla Agreement. So it seems like they are trying to retaliate. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Shashank Mattu. Shashank, the Shimla Agreement is extremely important between the two countries, especially since it focuses on peaceful negotiation and also in clearly laying out what is the line of control and how it's going to be respected by the two countries. So what is going to be the impact of this statement that we are seeing from Pakistan right now?
Well, it's not exactly clear at this point in time what Pakistan means when it says it will suspend the Shimla Agreement. Of course, one of the key aspects of the Shimla Agreement is that the two countries, India and Pakistan, will agree to deal with the Kashmir issue bilaterally and not involve third countries. Of course, as you rightly said, it also involves the line of control. But Pakistan, for
Welcome back. We are continuing with the coverage of the big breaking news coming in. That is, India has stepped up diplomatic strike against Pakistan, and India is trying to build a global solidarity against Pakistan, and it's doing that by calling in the envoys or the ambassadors of various countries, including Germany, Japan, Poland, UK, Indonesia, Qatar, EU and Russia, that arrived at the office of the Ministry of External Affairs. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Piyush Mishra. Piyush, there seems to be a long list of countries, the representatives of the countries that came to meet the External Affairs Ministry officials. Could you tell us what happened there? What exactly was briefed to these envoys?
Well, let me say, David, try to first show you the visuals. We are now seeing an envoy leaving from Ministry of External Affairs. Every minute we are seeing a vehicle of envoys reaching here at the Ministry of External Affairs, and they are also being received by the officials of Ministry of External Affairs. I would ask my video journalist Kunj to also pan his camera and zoom on the envoys who are now coming out of Ministry of External Affairs. This is the south block of Raisina Hills, where the envoys are coming. They are going inside. They are being briefed by MEA, and also we are getting few more visuals. Let's focus on these visuals also. We are getting few more visuals, this convoy is coming out from the President's house. So at one side there's a meeting going on at Ministry of External Affairs where envoys are being briefed. On the other side, we are seeing that Home Minister Amit Shah is coming out from the President's house. Big development also which we are picking, that both External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Home Minister Amit Shah, they also met with President of India. So there are two parallel meetings are going on. One meeting which is being chaired by Ministry of External Affairs. Another one is the President of India, where what we are told is that two top leaders of the government, they briefed the President of India about the recent developments. And here on my right hand side, we'll go again back on the live developments that are taking place here at Ministry of External Affairs. It seems like S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, he has also reached here at Ministry of External Affairs. And so we are now seeing hectic parleys underway here at South Block at Raisina Hills, where a series of meetings are taking place. Envoys have also been called in. Envoys are also being briefed by the government about the recent development. And these meetings are taking place in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack. Yes, we have the live visuals of S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, who is now entering in his office. Already envoys of various countries are present there in the ME office, and as they are present, Minister has also reached, and all the envoys are being briefed about the Pahalgam terror attack, the kind of evidence which India has been able to gather in the last more than 24 hours. These evidence will also be
hectic work, overdrive of the machinery, and totally focused on getting the job done.
Well, absolutely. We have seen series of meetings being chaired by PM Narendra Modi, different ministries, be it about MHA or Defence Ministry or Ministry of External Affairs. Every department is now in touch with their concerned officials. Yesterday we saw more than 2.5 hour long discussion of a Cabinet Committee of Security, after which multiple steps, multiple decisions were taken by the government. And today, as we are speaking, two big meetings took place. One with President of India, in which Home Minister Amit Shah and S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, were present. And as we are speaking, on my left hand side, at the office of Ministry of External Affairs, the envoys are being briefed. And remember that all these developments are taking place in the wake of PM Narendra Modi's strong worded message to Pakistan that terrorists will not be spared. We will track them down, we will hunt them down, we will punish them, and also the people who are behind this, even they will be taken to the task. Strong worded message has been given by Prime Minister, and not only to Pakistan, but also message to the global community that the perpetrators will not be spared. Remember that today, while he was speaking in Madhubani in Bihar, usually when you address a gathering of Hindi-speaking people, you speak in Hindi, but Prime Minister chose to speak for at least 2 to 3 minutes in English language, because because he wanted to send out a message to the global community about the terror attack, about the steps which the government is going to take. And one thing is clear, that after the Prime Minister's statement, the government is going to deal with terrorism once and for all. And for that, series of meetings are now taking place. Envoys of all the countries who are present in India, they are being briefed about the Pahalgam terror attack, about the horrific attack, the kind of brutality was shown and the kind of evidence which our country has got, and the involvement of Pakistan. So hectic parleys are underway. We'll have to wait and watch what kind of actions the government is going to take as far as dealing with terrorism is concerned.
Piyush, could you also throw some light on which countries are being represented there in this briefing? Also, the fact which are the sympathetic countries and which are the countries that would require a little bit more convincing as far as Pakistan's hand behind the curtain is concerned?
Well, what we are told is that every envoy of every country which is currently present in India has been called. We have seen the envoy of Germany, France, and also envoys of various European countries are reaching here, and they will take part in this briefing. They will be briefed about the current development. Let us also continue to show you the live visuals from right outside the Ministry of External Affairs, where the officials of MEA are present here. They are also keeping a close watch on all the movements. A couple of minutes back, Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar also reached. So as we are speaking, the meeting is underway. We are now seeing more envoys reaching here, and they will be allowed to go inside, and then they will be briefed about the Pahalgam terror attack. So it's a big development which is now taking place. What we are told is that every envoy which is present in country is being briefed, and they are told about the involvement of Pakistan in the Pahalgam terror attack. So at one side, a meeting is underway. On the other side, we saw as to how another meeting just concluded, in which Home Minister Amit Shah and S. Jaishankar, Foreign Affairs Minister, both of them were present, and they also met with President of India. So hectic parley is underway, Anjali. We'll have to see how the meetings further go on and what kind of decision the government further takes.
Right, Piyush. Thank you for all that information, and we'll keep coming back to you for more update as this meeting continues and as we see envoys rolling in and joining the other envoys for the briefing that is happening at the External Affairs Ministry. Now, within 24 hours of the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, India launched its biggest diplomatic strike on Pakistan. The Cabinet Committee on Security, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, decided to keep the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan in abeyance. In the latest, Pakistan's X account has also been withheld in India. This has happened after IT Ministry wrote to X to block the X account of Pakistani government. Not only this, the integrated check post at Atari was closed immediately. No visas will be allotted to Pakistani nationals coming to India. The number of diplomats in Pakistan missions have also been reduced, and also Pakistanis who are currently in India on visas have been given a cut-off date of 29th April to go back to their country. On Wednesday, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also issued a stern message to the terrorists and orchestrators of the recent terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, vowing that India would identify and bring to justice everyone who conspired against it.
In response of the Pahalgam terror attack, the Government of India Ministry of External Affairs on Wednesday evening initiated some of the strong diplomatic actions against Pakistan. There are many decisions made by the MEA, but one of the important aspects which has irritated Pakistan was the scrapping of Indus Water Treaty. This is the river Jhelum. This is the major river which flows from the Kashmir Valley, and many small streams and the rivers make it a biggest river of the Kashmir Valley. Whole water of this river in a shape of Neelam reached to the Pakistan, and finally irrigates not only the Pakistani occupied Kashmir but also the Punjab province of Pakistan for drinking purposes as well as for the irrigation and horticulture. Same is the scenario with the Sindh, which gives the water supply to the northern areas of Pakistan and other parts of Punjab and Sindh. Not only the Pakistani establishment, Pakistani government, but the people in Pakistan are much concerned that this option will give edge to the government of India to curb and control the water supply to Pakistan.
As India has taken tough diplomatic actions against Pakistan after the Pahalgam terrorist attack, Atari-Wagah border has been closed for the people. Here I am at the Atari-Wagah border, and for the travelers it has been closed. Normally we have seen that this is the only road crossing between India and Pakistan, but it has been closed now, so anybody who has visa cannot travel from this route anymore. Although the people who have already crossed in have been given time till 1st of May to cross over, and those having SARC visas can return in within 48 hours. But no fresh travelers will be allowed from either side, as India has decided to close this border for now, although there is no decision yet on retreat ceremony, because the beating retreat ceremony takes place every evening here, where the border security force Jawans and the Pakistani Rangers they do the flag lowering ceremony, and also trade happens through this border. But as of now, for the travelers, this has been closed because India has taken a tough action against Pakistan, tough diplomatic action against Pakistan, be it downsizing basically the downsizing the embassy staff or closure of this border. From Atari border, with camera person Girish, this is Hasim Bassi, India Today.
Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVAS visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVAS visa has 48 hours to leave India. Recognizing the seriousness of this terrorist attack, the CCS decided upon the following measures. 1. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. 2. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025.
और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है, हम उन तक भी पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं। भारत एक इतनी पुरानी सभ्यता और इतना बड़ा देश है जिसको ऐसे किसी भी आतंकी गतिविधियों से किसी भी सूरत में डराया नहीं जा सकता। ऐसी हरकतों का जिम्मेदार और इसके जिम्मेदार लोगों को आने वाले कुछ ही समय में जोरदार तरीके से नजर आएगा। मैं देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं।
And the big breaking news coming in right now is that Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Home Minister Amit Shah were present at a meeting with the President of India. And we're getting a picture of that, as you can see. The Home Minister and the External Affairs Minister met with President Draupadi Murmu and apprised them of the situation. In fact, a little while back, we saw live visuals of the Home Minister and the External Affairs Minister exiting in their convoys from the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is a picture from that meeting. And let's go across to my colleague Piyush Mishra, who's there outside the External Affairs Ministry and was giving us all the update that's been happening there today. Piyush, we just saw the picture of the President along with the External Affairs Minister and the Home Minister. And together we had witnessed them exiting the Rashtrapati Bhavan. What possibly was the motive of this meeting? Have your sources said anything? What exactly was the briefing that was done and given to the president?
Well, Anjali, what is more interesting here is that this meeting has come in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack and the kind of decisions which the government has taken against Pakistan. Remember that this meeting has also taken place after the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting, and we can also see two files also which both the ministers were also holding. Home Minister Amit Shah was seen holding a red file in his hand, and there was another file which was kept on the table. So it is very important to understand that these meetings have a lot of relevance. Earlier we have seen that ministers are going and meeting individually with the president, but here we saw two top ministers who are also part of Cabinet Committee on Security. They met and they went and met with President of India, and this meeting is being considered very important, very crucial one, and this has also come in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack, and this was also taking place at a time when the Ministry of External Affairs is briefing envoys of all the countries on Pahalgam terror attack. We are still waiting for an official word from the Office of President of India, and then only we will be able to tell to our viewers about the issue on which the discussion took place. But this meeting has got a lot of relevance because it took place amidst the kind of actions which the government is looking forward to take against Pakistani-sponsored terrorism.
Thank you, Piyush, for all that update.
Of Germany, France, and also envoys of various European countries are reaching here, and they will take part in this briefing. They will be briefed about the current development. Let us also continue to show you the live visuals from right outside the Ministry of External Affairs, where the officials of MEA are present here. They are also keeping a close watch on all the movements. A couple of minutes back, Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar also reached. So as we are speaking, the meeting is underway. We are now seeing more envoys reaching. As we are speaking, the meeting is underway. We are now seeing more envoys reaching here, and they will be allowed to go inside, and then they will be briefed about the Pahalgam terror attack. So it's a big development which is now taking place. What we are told is that every envoy which is present in country is being briefed. And, they are told about the involvement of Pakistan in the Pahalgam terror attack. So at one side, a meeting is underway. On the other side, we saw as to how another meeting just concluded in which Home Minister Amit Shah and S. Jaishankar, Foreign Affairs Minister, both of them were present, and they also met with President of India. So hectic parley is underway, Anjali. We'll have to see how the meetings further go on and what kind of decision the government further takes.
Right, Piyush. Thank you for all that information, and we'll keep coming back to you for more update as this meeting continues and as we see envoys rolling in and joining the other envoys for the briefing that is happening at the External Affairs Ministry. Now, within 24 hours of the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, India launched its biggest diplomatic strike on Pakistan. The Cabinet Committee on Security, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, decided to keep the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan in abeyance. In the latest, Pakistan's X account has also been withheld in India. This has happened after IT Ministry wrote to X to block the X account of Pakistani government. Not only this, the integrated check post at Atari was closed immediately. No visas will be allotted to Pakistani nationals coming to India. The number of diplomats in Pakistan missions have also been reduced, and also Pakistanis who are currently in India on visas have been given a cut-off date of 29th April to go back to their country. On Wednesday, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also issued a stern message to the terrorists and orchestrators of the recent terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, vowing that India would identify and bring to justice everyone who conspired against it.
In response of the Pahalgam terror attack, the Government of India Ministry of External Affairs on Wednesday evening initiated some of the strong diplomatic actions against Pakistan. There are many decisions made by the MEEA, but one of the important aspects which has irritated Pakistan was the scrapping of Indus Water Treaty. This is the river Jhelum. This is the major river which flows from the Kashmir Valley, and many small streams and the rivers make it a biggest river of the Kashmir Valley. Whole water of this river in a shape of Neelam reached to the Pakistan and finally irrigates not only the Pakistani occupied Kashmir but also the Punjab province of Pakistan for drinking purposes as well as for the irrigation and horticulture. Same is the scenario with the Sindh, which gives the water supply to the northern areas of Pakistan and other parts of Punjab and Sindh. Not only the Pakistani establishment, Pakistani government, but the people in Pakistan are much concerned that this option will give edge to the government of India to curb and control the water supply to Pakistan.
As India has taken tough diplomatic actions against Pakistan after the Pahalgam terrorist attack, Atari-Wagah border has been closed for the people. Here I am at the Atari-Wagah border, and for the travelers it has been closed. Normally we have seen that this is the only road crossing between India and Pakistan, but it has been closed now, so anybody who has visa cannot travel from this route anymore. Although the people who have already crossed in have been given time till 1st of May to cross over, and those having SAARC visas can return in within 48 hours. But no fresh travelers will be allowed from either side, as India has decided to close this border for now, although there is no decision yet on retreat ceremony, because the beating retreat ceremony takes place every evening here, where the border security force Jawans and the Pakistani Rangers they do the flag lowering ceremony, and also trade happens through this border. But as of now, for the travelers, this has been closed because India has taken a tough action against Pakistan, tough diplomatic action against Pakistan, be it downsizing basically the downsizing the embassy staff or closure of this border. From Atari border, with camera person Girish, this is Hasim Bassi, India Today.
Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SAARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVAS visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVAS visa has 48 hours to leave India. Recognizing the seriousness of this terrorist attack, the CCS decided upon the following measures. 1. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate...
India's options. Wargaming India's next move. Top focus on 5 Live.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given that clarion call for action against radical Islamist terror, and it clearly is Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. He of course hasn't named Pakistan, but he made one thing very clear. It's not just terrorists, but also those who shelter terrorists. There will be action against them. And in Bihar, he spoke Hindi, but he also wanted the world to know what he was saying and what he meant. So for clarity, he spoke English and he said, India will identify, track and punish. He said, not just the terrorists, but their backers. We will pursue them to the end of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. So very clearly, it's not just the terrorists, but also those who back terrorists. And the big question we're asking here on India Today, is this then end game Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror? What will India do? What can India do, especially after what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said? Remember, we've also already seen surgical strikes after Uri and airstrikes after Balakot. Airstrikes after Pulwama at Balakot. So what next? I'm Gaurav Sawant. We get you details, but first as always, the headlines on 5 Live. India ups the diplomatic ante against Pakistan, seeks global solidarity. The Ministry of External Affairs briefs envoys of the US, UK, Russia, China, Japan and France. India issues an advisory, tells all Indians to return from Pakistan immediately. Rattled Pakistan calls Indus Water Treaty Pact suspension an act of war, threatens to hold the Shimla Agreement in abeyance. Is Pakistan celebrating the Pahalgam massacre with a cake? Cake brought inside Pakistan High Commission. Man carrying cake evades questions. High drama outside the Pak High Commission. After India suspends the Indus Water Treaty and cancels visas, no more beating retreat at the Atari border anymore. Pakistan government's X-handle blocked in India. Big all-party meeting on the Pahalgam attack today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to chair the meeting at 6 p.m. The Defence Minister, the Home Minister and the External Affairs Minister to brief leaders of political parties. It was a very stern message that Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave out to the state sponsor of radical Islamist terror today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message was strong, not just to terrorists, but also to those who sponsored terrorism. He pledged India will identify, trace, track and punish those behind the recent Pahalgam terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. He addressed a public rally in Madhubani in Bihar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he speaks Hindi at times. He switched to English specifically to deliver this chilling message, and he wanted the world to hear it, and so that it's not lost in translation. He said it very clearly, and I quote, "Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the end of the world, to the end of earth. India's spirit will never be broken. Terrorism will not go unpunished." We get you more in this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi promises to crush the terrorists behind the Pahalgam massacre, the biggest attack on civilians on Indian soil since 26/11. In his first public meet after the terror attack, Prime Minister Modi began his rally in Madhubani in Bihar on Thursday by paying homage to the 26 people who died in the dastardly attack and observed a moment of silence. The Prime Minister vowed stern action against the perpetrators of the horrific terror attack.
अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है.
Modi asserted that the terrorists who carried out the attack and brains behind it will be punished beyond their imagination.
जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी.
Prime Minister Modi also issued a stern warning to the perpetrators of the Pahalgam terror attack, declaring that India will relentlessly pursue every terrorist and their backers.
22 अप्रैल को जम्मू कश्मीर के पहलगाम में आतंकियों ने मासूम देशवासियों को जिस बेरहमी से मारा है, उससे पूरा देश व्यथित है. कोटि कोटि देशवासी दुखी हैं. सभी पीड़ित परिवारों के इस दुख में पूरा देश उनके साथ खड़ा है.
While addressing the public meeting, Prime Minister Modi switched to English and sent a message to the global community.
I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times. From the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. Terrorism will not go unpunished.
Prime Minister Modi had earlier ordered surgical strike and Balakot airstrike to avenge the Uri and Pulwama terror attacks on security forces.
आतंकवादी कान खोल के सुन ले, यह देश इस बात को कभी भूलने वाला नहीं है. पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरान सुन ले, हमारे 18 जवानों का बलिदान बेकार नहीं जाएगा. आखिर पाकिस्तान बालाकोट की घटना, उसके बाद भी उसके अभी भी उनके एयर स्पेस शायद अब खोलना शुरू किया है. 1.5 महीना हो गया.
The Resistance Front, an alleged front of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam terror attack. India has already announced a series of diplomatic measures aimed at Pakistan, including the suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty.
It is only a matter of time that India hits back, as it did after Uri and Pulwama. With camera person Deepak Kumar, this is Rohit Singh in Jhanjharpur for India Today.
And the question remains, how will India hit back? Will India's response remain kinetic like it was after Uri, the surgical strike, and Balakot after Pulwama, or will it be non-kinetic? And let's discuss some of these options. I first want to talk about what has already been announced by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, especially the Indus Waters Treaty. What does that mean? A blood-soaked valley, grieving families, and a nation shaken to the core by the gruesome actions of that Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. And now, when those videos come out in public domain, each more horrifying than the other, those eyewitness and survivor accounts where you hear stories that those terrorists came up close to all the victims and then said, tell me your name, tell me your religion, recite kalma. And when they couldn't, they were killed at point-blank range. Now, videos have also emerged. Now, this has triggered massive response in the country. And it's not just an emotional response. It's a very considered response. Why have we let Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror, off the hook for decades? Because remember, Pakistan has been bleeding India for decades. 1993 Mumbai blast, 12 serial blasts, 257 people killed. We still went with dosti with Pakistan. Year after year, decade after decade. They kept striking. The Kargil war in 1999, 550 of our brave soldiers were killed. IC-814 hijack, that Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar, was released. The attack on the Indian Parliament, the attack on the Jammu and Kashmir State Assembly. Then, did terror stop after that? We played cricket with them. We permitted their film stars to come to India. They all minted money, went back abusing us on Kashmir. And that wasn't just it. Even after that, they were actually paying money to radical Islamist terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, donating to them for the Kashmir cause because Pakistan's ISI asked them to do. And then there were more attacks. 200 people were killed in the 2006 train attack, serial blasts in the Mumbai trains. Was that the end? No. Zaveri Bazar was targeted. Ahmedabad serial blasts, multiple blasts in the city. And when all the victims were brought to the hospital, The biggest blast took place at the hospital, and it was timed in such a way so that when victims are in hospital, their relatives are in hospital, those who've come there to donate blood, they're in hospital. That is when that blast went off. I've covered all these terror attacks on ground. Did Pakistan stop after that? Raghunath temple was attacked, Akshardham temple was attacked, Kashi Vishwanath temple, so many temples in our country have been attacked. Jaipur attacked, Mumbai attacked, Ahmedabad attacked, Bangalore Indian Institute of Science attacked, Jammu and Kashmir repeated attacks. Pakistan still didn't stop. It continued to strike India. After Balakot, at least for 5 years, there was outside Jammu and Kashmir no terror attack after Balakot. But it's intensified in Jammu and Kashmir. So in a bold and an unprecedented move, it's truly unprecedented, India has announced a serious measure, and that is, it's decided that the Indus Waters Treaty will be held in abeyance. And Pakistan is already reacting in a very different way. There are some in Pakistan who say this will be seen as an act of war. I get you more in this report.
जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी.
It took a massacre of 26 innocent people from all over India to shatter a treaty which has withstood 3 bloody wars and countless diplomatic face-off.
The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect.
The Indus Water Treaty, signed in 1960 and brokered by the World Bank, was one of the world's most durable international water-sharing framework. It is also the lifeline of Pakistan. The treaty governs the use of 6 rivers in the Indus Basin. It allocates 3 eastern rivers, the Ravi, Beas and the Satluj, to India. Pakistan gets the lion's share of water from the Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. Under the treaty, India received rights of over 20% of the system's water, roughly 41 billion cubic meters annually, while Pakistan received 80%, about 99 billion cubic meters. India is allowed limited use of western rivers for non-consumption purpose like hydropower, but cannot block or significantly alter the flow. The rivers support an entire ecosystem of irrigation and farming, power generation and drinking water. Pakistan had built 2 major dams, the Tarbela and the Mangala Dam, to harness the Indus. It also built 3 big barrages, Gujjar, Chasma and Kotri, to fulfill its needs of the plains. India meanwhile built hydroelectric projects on the Chenab at Baglihar, Salal, Dulhasti and Chamera. The water of Chenab could not be stored or diverted under the treaty. On the Ravi River, India built the Ranjit Sagar Dam and 2 major dams, Pong and Pando, on the Beas River. The Satluj River has the iconic Bhakra Nangal and the Nathpa Jhakri project. For Pakistan, the Indus system is not just vital, it is existential. The system contributes nearly 25% of Pakistan's GDP and supports crops like wheat, rice, sugarcane and cotton. 80% of its cultivated land, about 16 million hectares, relies on water from the Indus system. 93% of this water is used for irrigation and to power the country's agriculture backbone. The system supports over 14.5 crore people in Pakistan. Major urban centers like Karachi, Lahore, Multan draw their water directly from these rivers. Any cut in the water supply by India could lead to a collapse in food production, threatening food security for millions. The urban water supplies would dry up, causing unrest in the cities. Power generation would stall, crippling industries and homes. And loan default, unemployment and migration due to these reasons could destabilize the country. Pakistan has not officially responded yet, but it has legal avenues open. What will be under scrutiny is India's short-term ability to choke Pakistan of the precious resource. There is practically no storage capacity developed so far in Jammu and Kashmir, but experts say India could tinker with the water availability during the upcoming sowing season in Pakistan, which could play havoc with the country's economy. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है।
There is currently panic in Pakistan after the announcement that was made in India about the Indus Waters Treaty being held in abeyance. Pakistan, of course, takes some time to comprehend these things, to understand these things. And the buzz on the ground in Pakistan is, ab Indus Nadi ka pani ruk jayega, that Pakistan will turn into a desert. That's not what India has said, but Pakistan is panicking. And of course, there are some in Pakistan who say, if India stops the water of the Indus River, it will be seen as an act of war. So Pakistan is also trying to now drum up some nationalism, jingoism and support for Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir, seen more as an Islamist. But that's a separate debate. Joining me now on this India Today special broadcast is Ambassador Yash Sinha, India's former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, somebody who spent a long time initially as Joint Secretary and then Additional Secretary at the Pakistan-Afghanistan-Iran desk at the Ministry of External Affairs. And when Pakistan took this Indus Waters Treaty case to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, he was part of fighting back and ultimately won that case. So, Ambassador Sinha, I want to understand from you and for the benefit of our viewers, sir, what does holding the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance actually mean? Why is Pakistan in panic?
I think what the government of India has announced is an ultimatum to Pakistan, that unless they switch off the faucet of terrorism, there will be a price to pay. And the Indus Water Treaty, which is the lifeline of Pakistan, 80% of the waters of the Indus water system goes to Pakistan. India was extremely generous as an upper riparian state to allocate so much water to Pakistan. But Pakistan, in return, apart from acts of terrorism, has even blocked every project that India tries to do, which is allowed, which is permissible, the run-of-river projects on the western rivers of the Indus system. And I recall that 2011, 2012, when they took the matter of the Kishan-Ganga hydroelectric project to arbitration, I happened to be the co-agent for India, and we had the redoubtable late Fali Nariman as our lead counsel, and we argued in the arbitration that what we were doing was very much within the four walls of the treaty, and that judgment that came from the court was in our favor. And yet again, Pakistan has now taken this matter, the Kishan-Ganga project, again to arbitration. And of course, they've also appointed a very bizarre situation where there's a neutral expert going into this and a court of arbitration also examining it. So I think Pakistan plays a very obstructionist role.
Okay.
And for us, there is no real merit, no real gain in continuing the charade of adhering to the treaty. But right now, we have just issued a warning, and Pakistan should take it seriously.
So what does this warning truly mean? Clearly, water will continue to flow. If we were to talk about we're an upper riparian state, and we were talking about the western, rivers, Chenab, Jhelum and Indus. Pakistan continues to get 80%. We retain 20%, but we're not even harnessing our 20%. So why is there this panic in Pakistan? Many would argue you can't stop that water. You can't store it. Our own country will get flooded. So is this an empty threat, Ambassador?
No, as far as the western rivers are concerned, we only have run-of-the-river projects. We do not block water from flowing. We do not have that sort of storage capacity. In fact, the dispute that Pakistan, that took us to arbitration was on the issue of the dead storage level and the size of the sluice gates. Now, as far as India is concerned, we have been adhering to the provisions of the treaty, and till now, the various processes of dispute resolution have borne that out. However, the threat that India is making now, as far as the eastern rivers are concerned, we already are using it.
Yes.
May not be 100%, but you see the Ravi in Lahore, and you'll see that we are utilizing, as per the treaty, the waters of the Ravi or the Beas or the Sutlej for that matter.
Yes.
But as far as the western rivers are concerned, if we raise, for instance, just an example, and a hydrological engineer would be able to explain that better than I could, but if you raise the dead storage level or you increase the size of the sluice gates, then you could conceivably store more water than you would probably do in normal course. And obviously to divert waters is a very long-term, expensive exercise, but it's not improbable.
Okay, but if we were to even utilize or not give them extra water or not even share data, would that be detrimental to Pakistan? Because if the treaty is in abeyance, then are we obliged to share data? And if we do not share data, is Pakistan in trouble?
Well, as far as the sharing of data is concerned, particularly during the monsoon, this data is very valuable because it gauges the flows of the rivers, especially the western rivers. And if India stops giving data, then prior flood warnings, etc., would not be easily available to Pakistan. Pakistan must realize the folly of the course of action that they've adopted, because for them, the waters of the Indus and its tributaries are vital. It's self-sustaining, it is important for their agriculture, and I think they must realize that terror and it cannot go hand in hand with seeking cooperation and the generosity of India as far as the water of the Indus and its tributaries are concerned.
Okay. Now, before I go to some of the scenarios that we are discussing on this special broadcast, especially after what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, I also want to understand from you, Pakistan says if India were to stop the Indus waters flow to Pakistan and there is some panic in their country, this would be seen as an act of war. Is there merit in Pakistan's contention, or is India able to send across that message that water for Pakistan cannot be more precious than blood of Indians that Pakistan continues to spill and has been for decades, sir?
This is saber rattling on the part of Pakistan, par for the course for that country. India is not blocking the waters of the Indus or even the western rivers, and India has not done so far, and I don't think the announcement yesterday even hinted that that would happen. However, cooperation under the framework of the treaty is now put on hold. It's held in abeyance. So if we do not share data, if we decide to work on projects like the Kishan Ganga, the Tulbul navigation project on the Jhelum, the Ratle project on the Chenab, we would be well within our rights.
Perhaps, and India has started doing that in many instances since 2019. A warning was issued to Pakistan even in 2019 after the Pulwama terror attack. So Pakistan today cannot turn around and say, oh, you didn't warn us, this is grave escalation. India has repeatedly warned them after Uri, after Pulwama, and now taken some action after the Pahalgam terror attack. Now, what are India's options? Let's now throw this open. Joining me now on this India Today special broadcast is General Deepak Kapoor, former Chief of the Army Staff. General Kapoor, welcome on India Today. You heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Bihar where he said, we will track, trace, hunt and punish not just the perpetrators of terror, but also those who back them, those who shield them. What is your appreciation of what the Prime Minister said after the Pahalgam terror attack, sir?
Let me be historically correct to say that since 1947, when India got independence, Pakistan has indulged in 4 adventurous actions in the form of wars in 1965, 48, 65, 71, and 1919 at Kargil. And in all these, it has not succeeded. Having not succeeded militarily in all these wars, Pakistan decided to bleed the Indian army by 1,000 cuts in its own words, and that is how in the year 1989, this action of insurgency supported financially, economically, and militarily by Pakistan started. And for the last 36 years, this terror cycle has seen various ups and downs. And in the ebb and flow of this terror cycle, gradually, thanks to the efforts made by India, the situation in Kashmir has been turning towards stability and normalcy. And for the last 5-6 years, since the time on 5th August, the abrogation of Article 370 was announced, gradually the connectivity in Jammu and Kashmir has improved in the form of rail connectivity. Also, linkages across the Pir Panjal range in form of road connectivity have also improved. There is a degree of peace which has prevailed for the last 3 to 4 years in the valley, and we were hopeful that the situation will continue to keep improving, but definitely it was not to the Pakistani army's designs. And that
General, I want you to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a moment.
Viewed by us when.
Okay, I want you to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and usually when he speaks in Hindi, it's a message perhaps domestically, but he chose in Bihar to speak English, and I want you to listen into it. What does this mean? What are the implications? And we will then discuss certain scenarios on the basis of what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. Listen in.
I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times. Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track, and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us.
So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that आतंक के लिए जो बची कुची जमीन है वो भी खत्म हो जाएगी, नष्ट हो जाएगी, whatever territory remains for terror, whether it's terrorists or their backers, it will be destroyed. General Deepak Kapoor, I want you to consider certain scenarios on the basis of what Prime Minister Narendra Modi indicated. India has already carried out a surgical strike. It's carried out an airstrike in Balakot after Pulwama. I want you to consider scenario one, a missile strike. What could perhaps some of the possible targets be? Of course, the army knows, the armed forces know what to strike. But for example, the better known targets, Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur, Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters in Muridke, terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, or if you were to hurt terror backers, what can be hurt, what can be used? Is a missile strike, in your appreciation, a feasible scenario? General Kapoor.
Let me express very frankly, there's no point being speculative on these issues. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize there has to be a composite, integrated approach towards the response that we have to consider and go ahead with. And to that extent, diplomatically and politically, certain actions have been taken in the form of suspension of the Indus Water Treaty and various other measures which the Government of India have already announced. And Prime Minister Modi is absolutely right when he says that there is no place for terror in the world, and nor in India, nor in Jammu and Kashmir as well. There are a large number of different options which are available to the military, both in a combined, integrated fashion, as well as to the army at the tactical and the strategic level. So those are options which I am sure the Government of India, as well as in consultation with the military hierarchy, would be considering the option of using missiles or attacking the launch pads or various vulnerable posts. Those are options which are available. Some of these options were exercised during Balakot as well as the Uri strikes. As to what decision is taken on these, it's a matter of how it will play out, considering the kind of support which is coming in internationally to India for this dastardly terrorist act by the Pakistan army and its handlers who have been responsible for this act of terrorism, where individuals, civilians, have been targeted and killed. So it would be futile to think of different and speculate on different scenarios without all the facts. I think it would be better left to the military hierarchy as well as the government of India to decide on these acts.
Fair enough. Since you mentioned diplomatic options, since you mentioned whole of the nation approach, I want to bring in Ambassador Sinha into this conversation once again. Ambassador Sinha, the fact that India used fighter jets not just to cross the line of control but hit across the international border without declaration of war in 2019, and the next day the Pakistani response, their fighters did not cross over to the Indian side. I want to understand from you, if in 2025 there were to be a missile strike, would that be seen as escalation?
Well, certainly it would, because till now we haven't had missile strikes as far as India and Pakistan goes, particularly when we are not fighting a war. So I think a missile strike would be an escalation. But then I wouldn't like to second guess what the government has planned, because certainly the government will give a muscular response. What that will be, I think we should leave it to our decision makers. I am sanguine that whatever course of action that the government decides, the people of India will unite behind the government in a stiff response to the perpetrators of terror.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you. The fact that terror has to be punished, the fact that Prime Minister said there has to be no territory left for terrorists and their backers. And in your appreciation, Jal Deepak Kapoor, would the Pakistani state or the Pakistani military jihad complex, army, ISI, do they constitute part of terror backers in your appreciation, in India's assessment?
Look, let me be very frank that Pakistan has its own tremendous problems, economic, political, as well as military. As to how much they can support this jihadist elements in carrying on with terrorism in the J&K area is a matter of doubt, because their own economy is in doldrums. As to whether in all this the Pakistan military establishment can continue to retain control of the political landscape within Pakistan is also a question mark. As to how it will play out is a matter of time, notwithstanding that the Indian military as well as the political establishment is quite aware of the realities, and I am sure the kind of action that they propose would take care of the efforts that are being made by Pakistan to use terrorism as a weapon, especially when a tremendous amount of peace and stability was returning to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They are attempting also to give a kind of support to a religious divide within our country, which I'm sure needs to be resisted with all our might and ensure that terrorism doesn't find a place within our country.
No, but that's the problem with a country like Pakistan and with a chief like Asim Munir in Pakistan, an army chief like Asim Munir. They have no money, they know it, you know it, we know it. But the fact remains they still continue to support terror. The fact remains they still continue to sponsor terror in India. I mean, that's a country that will cut its nose to spite its face. You know that better than anybody else, as does Ambassador Sinha. And which is what brings me to scenario number 2. And considering you spoke of their economic distress, if the Indian Navy were to carry out a series of exercises in the North Arabian Sea or around the Arabian Sea, would that would that be a nightmare for Pakistan? Because ultimately, that would, in a way, without officially doing that, lead to a blockade of Karachi and Gwadar. So whether it's cargo ships, whether it's oil tankers, either they wouldn't be able to come, or if they do, fuel supply to Pakistan would be impacted. Civilian cargo movement would either be halted, or with increased insurance, it would be much more expensive and unaffordable for a state that's literally living on arms. It's literally living on begged, borrowed, perhaps stolen money. So should we be intensifying naval operations and exercises in the Arabian Sea, in your appreciation, General Deepak Kapoor?
I think we would be indulging in the realm of speculative thinking when we talk about either naval, army or air force actions. Please remember, there is a composite headquarters, the Integrated Defence Staff and the Government of India. I'm sure when any steps have to be taken, they will be taken in total consideration of all these factors, whether it is to be combined operation by Air Force, Navy and the Army, or restricted in certain other spheres, or whether the missiles are to be used. So these are areas which the Government of India and the powers that are currently dealing with the situation will be fully aware of, and they will take an appropriate action. All that I would like to say is that as the country is behind whatever they decide to do, it will be coordinated action, integrated fully, and that will take care of the kind of retaliation that we wish to plan towards Pakistan and its military establishment.
Okay. Ambassador Sinha, if India's effort is to ensure that Pakistan does not have funds for terror, and whatever little funds they have, they've been begging for money from the International Monetary Fund, they've been begging Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, bartering their territory or our territory to China, and yet sponsoring terror. So would squeezing funds out of Pakistan be an option, and should that be an option? And I'm sure that's an option, but what do you make of naval exercises? There's nothing that Pakistan can do. I mean, it's international waters if we were to carry out exercises.
Look, Gaurav, as far as Pakistan is concerned, I have always maintained that it's a sick man of Asia, the sick man of Asia surviving on a drip. And it's not a recent phenomenon. For many years, the benefactors may have changed, but Pakistan's obsessive hatred for India remains the same. So I think squeezing of funds, whatever funds they have, they will deploy against India because of their obsession. And I think the people of Pakistan must realize that their army, their decision makers are leading them down a path of destruction. So I think it's time for the people to ensure that its leadership steps back from the brink.
Okay. I, for a moment, also want to talk about, what Pakistan often describes, General Deepak Kapoor, as Namaloom Afraad or unknown gunmen. We don't know who they are. Pakistan claims they're Indians, we have no idea, or they claim they're Pakistanis backed by Indians. Again, we have absolutely no idea. But is that working to take out terrorists who may have been involved in actions in Jammu and Kashmir? Because I'm told the intelligence agencies and networks know who all were responsible, whether they were state actors, semi-state actors, non-state actors. I'm told they're all 50 shades of Hafiz Saeed anyways. But what is described often as covert operations, neutralize high-value terror targets or strategic targets in Pakistan, targeted assassinations in Pakistan. Is that something that would deter Pakistan as a terrorist state, or they've gone so down the road that it's like a drug addict? Even though he knows drugs are bad, he can't do anything about it, and Pakistan is addicted to terror. General Kapoor.
I would not like to indulge in speculative thinking, but I'd like to ask you a counter question. Haven't the ISI of Pakistan been trying to invoke trouble of all kinds within our country from time to time? the history over the last 75 years will show that besides the military operation, time and again, the ISI have tried different means to incite communal hatred within our country, which is something which we have stoutly defended against.
Yes.
So these are covert operations which they've carried out. If they are now speculating about Namalum killers, well, that's something they are quite familiar with, and what they are familiar with, I suppose they are supposed to be expecting what they have been dealing all along in India with. So if Namalum killers have done some actions, I suppose it only shows that those Namalum killers have had the time and the effort to take care of people who have been the hotheads of terrorism, who have been spreading terrorism not only within our country but across the world.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very pertinent point you make because, Ambassador Sinha, as you know better, Pakistan has, for example, Madeleine Albright described Pakistan as the international terror epicenter. Pakistan anyways is seen as the global terror central. Osama bin Laden found and killed there. David Coleman Headley was Lashkar-e-Taiba's sleeper cell in America. Captain Tahawwur Hussain Rana, who's been extradited to India now, was Lashkar-e-Taiba's sleeper cell in Canada. They carried out or attempted to carry out a terror attack in Europe. So is the world or can the world unite to target Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure, or is that best left to the victims of terror and currently perhaps India, Afghanistan and certain other countries?
I think the fact that Pakistan is a state sponsor of terrorism is widely known. I mean, right from its inception, it has used the fig leaf of non-state actors, whether it was the tribals, Razakars, 47, 48, 65 they launched Operation Gibraltar. Yes. In 99, in Kargil, the Northern Light Infantry was involved, but they denied. They refused to take back even their dead bodies. So Pakistan has a history. 26/11, they denied that they were Pakistanis till Qasab, the identity of Qasab was clearly proven. So I think the world knows that Pakistan can hide behind what they consider to be non-state actors, but everyone knows that they are the ones who are sponsoring it. They're sponsoring these acts of terrorism, sponsoring these terrorists. So I think even the attack in Pahalgam was executed with some amount of precision. They certainly would have had support from the Pakistan jihadi complex, the military jihadi complex.
Which brings me to scenario number 4, and something that perhaps already is happening is exposing Pakistan's state support to terror globally. Expose ISI sleeper cells worldwide, like Tahawwur Hussain Rana, like David Coleman Headley, like Ghulam Nabi Fai, that Pakistan ISI operative in the United States of America. Of course, Headley, Tahawwur Rana, Ghulam Nabi Fai, they were all exposed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Some sources seem to indicate that there was tremendous intelligence cooperation between India and the United States of America. Should India also be lending, Ambassador Sinha, support, diplomatic support, emotional support to the freedom fighters of Balochistan and those Pashtuns, the movement there against Pakistan's atrocities, whether it's in Balochistan or in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa?
As far as India is concerned, India is a responsible state. India is not a state sponsor of terrorism. So India does not behave like Pakistan. And that is why India's credentials are well respected. And that is why today India's ranking or India's standing in the Committee of Nations is so high. So I wouldn't like to go down to the level that Pakistan has stooped. And as far as India is concerned, what is happening in Balochistan, what is happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is an internal matter of Pakistan, yet it does concern every person who loves democracy, freedom rights, and the right to choose. And I think as far as what's happening in Pakistan is concerned, it is a blowback. It's a Frankenstein's monster that is now turning on its creator.
Okay, is that also your appreciation, General Kapoor? We saw what happened at the Jafar Express, the way Pakistan Army is unable to move around openly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan. Ever since Taliban took over in Afghanistan, Pakistan thought it was second freedom movement or words to that effect. They permitted TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan fighters to come into their territory, and Pakistan has been bleeding ever since. What do you make of what's happening in Balochistan and in KPK?
Look, Pakistan has been always known to be the fountainhead of terrorism. So when you try and cultivate terrorists, the possibility as to some or a large number of them would turn against you for their own benefits and gains is very strong and is bound to happen at some stage or the other. So if trouble for Pakistan is happening in Balochistan or in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, it is primarily those very terrorists who it has trained who are turning their back onto Pakistan establishment, military establishment, and showing their fangs to the Pakistan military as well as the administration. Of course, there is also the fact that there is a very strong movement within Balochistan for its independence from Pakistan, because they feel that they have been absolutely cheated as far as their resources are concerned. They have been actually been taken for a ride by the dominant community within Pakistan, that is the Punjabi elite, and that is why there is literally a rebellion within Balochistan to have an independent state of their own. Likewise, the other provinces of Pakistan, whether it is Sindh or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, also feel the domination of the Punjabi elites in almost all departments and functions of the government. So there is a degree of resentment which is already existing as to how Pakistan can stay away from the acts of terrorism for these very people is a matter of time, and gradually it is bound to show at some stage or the other in the next
Which brings me to
years.
our question number 5. Has the ceasefire along the line of control held India in good stead? Is that helping Pakistan better? Is it better that the Pakistan army remains stretched not just along the Durand line, along the AFPAC border, but also along the line of control? So 770 kilometers of the LC, 200 kilometers of the international border, and 110 kilometers of the actual ground position line. The Pakistan army was able to shift considerable resources and take them along the AFPAC border, virtually 2,700 odd kilometers to fight there. Is it better if the Pakistan army is stretched on all borders and internally? General Deepak Kapoor, in your appreciation, sir.
Yes, you are right. The Pakistan army is stretched to a large extent, starting from Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. And now they have taken on themselves along the India-Pakistan ceasefire line as well. Well, as far as international agreements go, I'm sure the Indian side would absolutely stick to the agreements which have been done in the past. But should there be any violations all along the line of control, I have no doubt the Indian military, the Army, Navy and the Air Force will give them a befitting response. Notwithstanding that, the condition and plight within the military establishment of Pakistan is actually rather insecure and sensitive, especially because there is an element, especially amongst the younger ranks of the Pakistan military, who are more close to the Imran side of politics than to the present dispensation, and that is something which is a major cause of concern for the Pakistan hierarchy, because a kind of a rebellion at the lower ranks can be a major. There's no point being speculative on these issues. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize there has to be a composite, integrated approach towards the response that we have to consider and go ahead with. And to that extent, diplomatically and politically, certain actions have been taken in the form of suspension of the Indus Water Treaty and various other measures which the Government of India have already announced. And Prime Minister Modi is absolutely right when he says that there is no place for terror in the world, and nor in India, nor in Jammu and Kashmir as well. There are a large number of different options which are available to the military, both in a combined, integrated fashion, as well as to the army at the tactical and the strategic level. So those are options which I am sure the Government of India, as well as in consultation with the military hierarchy, would be considering. The option of using missiles or attacking the launch pads or various vulnerable posts, those are options which are available. Some of these options were exercised during Balakot as well as the Uri strikes. As to what decision is taken on these, it's a matter of how it will play out, considering the kind of support which is coming in internationally to India for this dastardly terrorist act by the Pakistan army and its handlers who have been responsible for this act of terrorism, where individuals, civilians, have been targeted and killed. So it would be futile to think of different and speculate on different scenarios without all the facts. I think it would be better left to the military hierarchy as well as the Government of India to decide on these acts.
Fair enough. Since you mentioned diplomatic options, since you mentioned whole of the nation approach, I want to bring in Ambassador Sinha into this conversation once again. Ambassador Sinha, the fact that India used fighter jets not just to cross the line of control but hit across the international border without declaration of war in 2019, and the next day the Pakistani response, their fighters did not cross over to the Indian side. I want to understand from you, if in 2025 there were to be a missile strike, would that be seen as escalation?
Well, certainly it would, because till now we haven't had missile strikes as far as India and Pakistan goes, particularly when we are not fighting a war. So I think a missile strike would be an escalation. But then I wouldn't like to second guess what the government has planned, because certainly the government will give a muscular response. What that will be, I think we should leave it to our decision makers. I am sanguine that whatever course of action that the government decides, the people of India will unite behind the government in a stiff response to the perpetrators of terror.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you. The fact that terror has to be punished, the fact that Prime Minister said there has to be no territory left for terrorists and their backers. And in your appreciation, Jal Deepak Kapoor, would the Pakistani state or the Pakistani military jihad complex, army, ISI, do they constitute part of terror backers in your appreciation, in India's assessment?
Look, let me be very frank that Pakistan has its own tremendous problems, economic, political, as well as military. As to how much they can support this jihadist elements in carrying on with terrorism in the J&K area is a matter of doubt, because their own economy is in doldrums. As to whether in all this the Pakistan military establishment can continue to retain control of the political landscape within Pakistan is also a question mark. As to how it will play out is a matter of time, notwithstanding that the Indian military as well as the political establishment is quite aware of the realities, and I'm sure the kind of action that they propose would take care of the efforts that are being made by Pakistan to use terrorism as a weapon, especially when a tremendous amount of peace and stability was returning to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They are attempting also to give a kind of support to a religious divide within our country, which I'm sure needs to be resisted with all our might and ensure that terrorism doesn't find a place within our country.
No, but that's the problem with a country like Pakistan and with a chief like Asim Munir in Pakistan, an army chief like Asim Munir. They have no money. They know it. You know it. We know it. But the fact remains they still continue to support terror. The fact remains they still continue to sponsor terror in India. I mean, that's a country that will cut its nose to spite its face. You know that better than anybody else, as does Ambassador Sinha. And which is what brings me to scenario number 2. And considering you spoke of their economic distress, if the Indian Navy were to carry out a series of exercises in the North Arabian Sea or around the Arabian Sea, would that be a nightmare for Pakistan? Because ultimately, that would, in a way, without officially doing that, lead to a blockade of Karachi and Gwadar. So whether it's cargo ships, whether it's oil tankers, either they wouldn't be able to come, or if they do, fuel supply to Pakistan would be impacted. Civilian cargo movement would either be halted, or with increased insurance, it would be much more expensive and unaffordable for a state that's literally living on arms. It's literally living on begged, borrowed, perhaps stolen money. So should we be intensifying naval operations and exercises in the Arabian Sea, in your appreciation, Jal Deepak Kapoor?
I think we would be indulging in the realm of speculative thinking when we talk about either naval, army or air force actions. Please remember, there is a composite headquarters, the Integrated Defence Staff and the Government of India. I'm sure when any steps have to be taken, they will be taken in total consideration of all these factors, whether it is to be combined operation by Air Force, Navy and the Army, or restricted in certain other spheres, or whether the missiles are to be used. So these are areas which the Government of India and the powers that are currently dealing with this situation will be fully aware of, and they will take an appropriate action. All that I would like to say is that as the country is behind whatever they decide to do, it will be coordinated action, integrated fully, and that will take care of the kind of retaliation that we wish to plan towards Pakistan and its military establishment.
Okay. Ambassador Sinha, if India's effort is to ensure that Pakistan does not have funds for terror, and whatever little funds they have, they've been begging for money from the International Monetary Fund, they've been begging Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, bartering their territory or our territory to China, and yet sponsoring terror. So would squeezing funds out of Pakistan be an option, and should that be an option? And I'm sure that's an option, but what do you make of naval exercises? There's nothing that Pakistan can do. I mean, it's international waters if we were to carry out exercises.
Look, Gaurav, as far as Pakistan is concerned, I have always maintained that it's a sick man of Asia, the sick man of Asia surviving on a drip. And it's not a recent phenomenon. For many years, the benefactors may have changed, but Pakistan's obsessive hatred for
parties. Ups the diplomatic ante against Pakistan, seeks global solidarity. MEA briefs envoys of US, UK, Russia, China, Japan and France. India issues advisory, tells Indians in Pakistan to return immediately. Rattled Pakistan calls Indus Water Pact suspension an act of war, threatens to hold Shimla Agreement in abeyance. Is
Pakistan celebrating massacre with a cake. Cake bought inside Pakistan High Commission. Man carrying cake evades question. High drama outside Pakistan High Commission. After India suspends Indus Water Treaty and cancels visas, now no beating the retreat at Atari border anymore. Pakistan government's X handle blocked in India.
डरने की जरूरत नहीं है।
All right, let's take you now across where the all-party meeting is to begin shortly from now. This all-party meeting called at the back of the terror attacks that has taken place in Pahalgam, in Kashmir, amidst the huddle. Amit Shah, JP Nadda and Jai Shankar are holding the meet. The meeting is taking place at the Parliament. What we've just been given to understand is that the Home Minister has just come in. You can see Kiran Rijiju, Union Minister, Samajwadi Party, and all leaders, Aam Aadmi Party, all leaders coming in for the all-party meeting there. Because all of this in the backdrop of the dastardly terror attack in Pahalgam, which took place 2 days ago. Yesterday was the CCS meet in which decisions were made and major decisions were made. Of course, will there be now military escalation is the big question. Today, the opposition had wanted an all-party meeting and the government also wanted to uprise the opposition on the stand that the government is taking. Largely, the opposition seems to be standing next to the government. However, certain parties have raised questions of accountability and the lapses, security lapses that had taken place. Was there an intelligence failure? But more or so, most parties are backing the government in the stand that they've taken. On your television screen, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, coming in. Rahul Gandhi, also the leader of opposition, would be attending this all-party meeting in Parliament. Mallikarjun Kharge from the Congress as well. A short while ago, you just saw Ram Gopal Yadav there on your television screen from the Samajwadi Party. Supriya Sule, NCP, Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, TMC, Sanjay Singh, Aam Aadmi Party, Asauddin Owaisi, AIMIM has also been called. Shrikant Shinde, Shiv Sena, Premchand Gupta, RJD, and Krishna Deva Rayu from the TDP are till now the members who have come in to attend this crucial all-party meet. Because this is going to be a time where you will have the Home Minister, the Defence Minister and the Minister of External Affairs uprise the opposition on the steps that they have taken in terms of retaliatory measures against Pakistan. Those decisions were taken yesterday, where, of course, the Indus Water Treaty has been held in abeyance, just one of the many measures that have been taken. Will there be military escalation now? To what level? They will be taking feedback from the opposition as well. All of this taking place. I want to immediately cut across to my colleague Piyush Mishra, who is joining us live right outside Parliament, where this crucial all-party meeting about to begin shortly. Piyush, what more can you add?
Well, Priti, like you rightly mentioned that yes, this meeting is about to begin there at Parliament, annexing in Parliament, and this meeting has been called by the government where it is going to brief all political parties about the steps those have so far been taken by the government in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack. Remember that yesterday the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting took place at PM Narendra Modi's residence, and there itself it was decided that the government will be briefing opposition about the steps those have been taken and about the incident, and the evidences also those have so far been gathered. So it's going to be a very crucial meeting in which the government is going to brief all political parties about the horrific Pahalgam attack. We have also got the list of leaders who have arrived. From DMK, we have Tiruchi Shiva, Supriya Sule from NCP, Shrikant Shinde from Shiv Sena, Sanjay Singh from Aam Aadmi Party. And if you talk about leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge is there, and leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi is also there. We also have Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju, Minister of External Affairs S. Shankar, and BJP's National President J.P. Nadda, who have also attended this meeting. This meeting is being chaired by Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Home Minister Amit Shah and Foreign Affairs Minister S. Shankar. Even they are going to put on their views before the all political parties. J.P. Nadda has joined there as the National President of BJP. Kiran Rijiju is there because he is Parliamentary Affairs Minister. So all political parties have been called in, and they will be briefed about the Pahalgam terror attack and how the government is looking forward to take actions against the Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Remember that a few steps have already been taken, which includes putting Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, also sealing the border, India-Pakistan border, which also includes asking all Pak nationals to return back to their country within 48 hours. So there are different measures which the government has so far taken, and what we are now learning is that more actions could be in pipeline, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured not only to the country but also a strong message to Pakistan and also to the global community that yes, we will not let the terror go unpunished. And in the wake of that, we are now seeing this all-party meeting taking place. Before that, Home Minister Amit Shah and Foreign Affairs Minister S. Shankar also met with President of India.
All right, so, this is an attempt of the government, especially after the crucial CCS meet, which had taken place yesterday, which is the highest, meeting that can take place, especially where internal security and India's security is concerned. After that, now you have the Home Minister, you have the External Affairs Minister and the Defence Minister apprising the opposition on the steps that the government is looking to take and has already taken, where retaliation to Pakistan-sponsored terror comes into question. I want to cut across right now to my colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who's joining us. Aishwarya, till now, we've seen the opposition largely stand behind the government and say, we are with you in this. However, there are political parties, especially like the TMC, that have raised, questions on what the lapses were, on accountability and an intelligence failure. All of that will also be addressed today, isn't it?
Well, definitely, Preeti, and we have seen a very measured response coming in from from most of the opposition parties. In fact, Rahul Gandhi also, if you carefully read the tweet that he's written, basically the opposition parties, most of them are standing behind the government, and the signal that has gone out is that India is united and all set to fight this. And that is exactly what the government at the moment is also looking at. That picture, Preeti, that we just saw, Home Minister meeting all the top leaders, and we also saw the Defence Minister meeting with them, speaking with them and telling them what the next course of action will be. All this is a telling sign that we should brace ourselves. The Indian government will now take a very stringent action. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking in Bihar, in a place where everyone, understands Hindi, very few understand English, but that statement coming in from English because it was the Prime Minister who wanted to give out a message, a signal to the world that India will not let this go. And that is exactly what will be discussed today. And we will see, in this meeting, the government also giving a hint to the opposition party with regards to the next course of action that the government is all set to take.
I just stay on with me. I just want to get our viewers up to speed with the latest that is coming in. Viewers, the day before yesterday, you had the Prime Minister, after the dastardly terror attack in Pahalgam, which was just about 2.5 hours from Srinagar, cut his diplomatic visit short and come back late night. You had the Home Minister, who was in Srinagar for a day, come back yesterday. And then yesterday was the highest level meeting on security, which is the CCS. Now you have the Home Minister as well as the Defence Minister who will uprise the opposition, because there are many questions that the opposition has had, especially on the action which the government has taken already. There have been multiple, a unilateral response where it comes down from India initially right now, but it's more of a diplomatic response. On the other hand, will there be, tangible military action? Will that happen? Is a question that the opposition is also demanding from the government. More so, especially where grave security lapses are concerned. Why wasn't there enough security? Accountability. Those questions will also be raised in this particular meeting. But all in all, this is one of those rare moments that we see in Indian political history, that we've seen the opposition stand firmly with the government on whatever decision the government is taking to move ahead, because there is a clear clarion call across the country today. At the back of what we have seen is a bloodbath in Pahalgam. 28 lives have been lost. 28 families' lives, as they knew it, will never be turned upside down. So therefore, there is a sense of revenge, retribution, the government recalibrating all of that. Immediate retaliatory measures have been announced, and some of them stringent at that, whether it be, the abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty, but will there be now tactical action? And when I speak of tactical action, it tantamounts to military action. Will that also take place? It's something that would possibly be discussed with the opposition this evening. If anything is to go by of what the Prime Minister said in a very rare address in English, he hardly makes addresses in English, especially in a state like Bihar. So there was a point that he was trying to make as well, viewers, when he was speaking in English, because this wasn't meant just for India's audience. It was meant for a global audience, that India is going to come back and hit hard, relentlessly, without any mercy. The kind of words that he used, that we will, as a country, eradicate, the zameen which has atank, which foments terrorists. All of that, we're going to bring it down for our viewers. But, like I said, the opposition will also raise issues of what they feel have been lapses. And they have been lapses, something which even security experts admit, viewers. Lapse number one, April 4th, the IB alert flagged the terror threat. Pakistan terrorists wrecked Pahalgam hotels. The army intel also warned of LET movement in Baisaran. Attack site had no security presence, even despite of that warning. No tourist police booths or mobile patrol deployed in the area. So there have been grave lapses. Were we caught napping? Yes. Now, will accountability be fixed? It's something, that the government will look into. But right now is the time, to put up a united front in terms of the action that India needs to take, and show to the world that this will not be tolerated. Deterrence where Pakistan is concerned. I'm going to continue to cut across, to our band of reporters. Piyush Mishra with us, Aishwarya Paliwal with us, where this meeting, all-party meeting, has started. Piyush, what's interesting is it seems Asauddin Owaisi has finally been invited in this all-party meeting, because that invitation hadn't gone down earlier. He'd used the platform X to actually express his disgruntlement at that.
Well, certainly, Preeti. In fact, he was asking the government to take strongest possible action against this terror activity. He was also asking what kind of measures the government will now further take. So today, all his doubts are going to be cleared in this all-party meeting, where the government is going to brief not only opposition but all political parties, India allies, all members of political spectrum. They have been invited, in which they are going to be briefed how the government is looking into it, what measures so far have been taken, and most likely the government is going to give them a hint as to how the government is going to move ahead as far as dealing with this situation is concerned. So there were some political parties from opposition who were asking for some sort of measures, military measures to be taken, and today the government is going to give them hint as to what the government is going to look forward as far as this entire situation is concerned. So from DMK we have Tiruchi Shiva, from TMC also Sudeep Bandyopadhyay is there, from Aam Aadmi Party Sanjay Singh is there. So different political parties have been invited from TDP, which is part of NDA. Even Lavu Krishna is there. So there are multiple political parties who have been invited, and they are taking part in this all-party meeting, which is right now underway. Most likely it will go for an hour or so, in which Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is going to brief to all the political parties, and Home Minister Amit Shah can add on to the situation there in Jammu and Kashmir, because he is the man
this
who
meeting, viewers, once again to get
was flown to Pahalgam.
You stay with me.
He also
So the Defence Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, is chairing this all-party meeting. It was the Defence Minister who actually picked up the phone, inviting all parties to come in and attend this meeting, so they all could be briefed on what the government stand is and what measures have been taken, to debate the measures, and also what measures need to be taken, and take feedback from the opposition. So what you actually see is a rare sight of healthy democracy working where India is concerned, and the opposition and the government at least coming together to troubleshoot at times of grave grief. India is plunged into mourning, viewers, with what has happened just 2 days ago. It's a moment that we don't want to forget, and it's a moment that we don't want to quite ever repeat again, and we need to take that stand to make that messaging very, very clear. All right, I want to cut across to all the political reactions that we are getting in. We were speaking of Asauddin Owaisi. Listen in.
होम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस से होम मिनिस्टर मेरे से बात किए और बोले कहाँ हैं आप, तो मैं सर हैदराबाद में हो, तो बोले देर होगी मगर आप आइए। तो अभी अगर टिकट मिलेगा इंशाल्लाह, मैं बोला हूँ जो भी टिकट मिलेगा पहुँचेंगे और उसमें शिरकत करेंगे और अपनी बात को रखेंगे।
All right, I'm cutting across back to my colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who's joining us for more on this all-party meeting which is taking place. Aishwarya, each political outfit of, if you want to call it still the India Alliance, has, divergent views on how India should approach Pakistan and the kind of measures that need to be in place. While the Congress has largely put their weight behind the government, saying this is not the time, to politicize the situation. We are with the government. They need to take a hard stand, discuss with us, and we are with you. On the other hand, there are other political parties like the TMC, which has outrightly demanded accountability. They've asked why there was such a massive intelligence failure and security lapses. So different approach by different political outfits.
Well, definitely, Preeti, we are seeing how different opposition parties have raised certain questions, and those are the questions that not just the opposition parties, Preeti, but even a lot of other people have been asking, how could such a big attack happen? Because this is something that the government has been saying they have been working upon over the past many years. Those questions are something that will be asked by the opposition parties today as well. But the main opposition party, the Congress party, understanding what this actually means. And we have seen how globally it is the world that is standing behind India. This should not have happened. They were not people who were standing on the border. They were not people who were fighting. They were just civilians, unarmed civilians who had nowhere to go. And this was pre-planned. The recce was happening. So everything was planned, and we know who's behind this. It's the state of Pakistan. So when everyone knows this, the idea now is to make sure that these kind of incidents do not take place. That's the reason to trying to make sure that Jammu and Kashmir becomes a safe haven once again. That's the promise that the Bharatiya Janata Party has been making over the past many years. The oppositions, the parties obviously will ask certain questions, but at the moment we have seen by and large all of them understanding that the bottom line is that India now needs to respond to this, and the world is watching, Preeti, how India will react to these 28
All right, Aishwarya, stay with me. I just want to take our viewers through the visuals that are coming in. We can play them full screen. Visuals that are coming in of the Parliament. The all-party meeting has begun. You can see Rahul Gandhi along with Kiran Rijiju. You have the Home Minister as well as the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh coming in, JP Nadda, BJP Party President, and then you have Mr. Kharge alongside Rahul Gandhi with the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, and you had Mr. Kiran Rijiju. Other political parties also being represented today, and we'll continue to get you what comes in or what is a united political response which filters out of the all-party meeting which is taking place as we speak, viewers, inside the Parliament. All right, along with the multiple measures that were taken place yesterday, the latest that is coming in is also that the beating retreat has been suspended indefinitely at the Atari-Wagah border. Gates remain shut at Atari-Wagah border. No handshake between BSF Jawans and Pakistan Rangers. Viewers, the beating retreat would happen daily at the Wagah-Atari border. And right now, that has also been suspended, understandably so. It was a goodwill measure between the two countries, and when you get stabbed in the back, there is no goodwill anymore. And this is a classic example of that. Tourists from across the country would go, on either sides to witness this spectacle, but from now on it has been suspended indefinitely. Joining me on the phone line, my colleague Asim Bassi. Asim, what more can you add?
Well, the Atari border, at the Atari border, every day the retreat ceremony takes place. It's a flag lowering ceremony where a coordinated parade takes place between the BSF Jawans and the Pakistani Rangers. And today also, I will say that the retreat ceremony did happen at the border, but there was a difference. The difference was that the gates, the India and the Pakistan gates were not opened because the BSF decided not to open the gates in protest of the Pahalgam terror attack. And apart from not opening the gate, also there was no handshake. Every day there is a handshake between the BSF Jawan and the Pakistani Rangers during the ceremony. But today's ceremony took place. People came in a thin number, but there was no handshake and no gates with the Pakistan were open. So from Pakistan side, Rangers did the parade and Indian side, BSF did the parade as usual. But there was no gate opening, there was no handshake. So this is a big development because in the recent past, this has never happened. So BSF has shown a very, very strong protest to Pakistan against the Pahalgam terror attack. Yeah.
All right, appreciate you joining us. Same with the latest updates coming in. My colleague Asim Bassi elucidating that there will be no beating retreat ceremony that takes place daily at the Atari-Wagah border, where tourists, citizens from either sides of the divide gather to witness this spectacle. But all of this was just a part of confidence-building measures between the two countries which have had strained ties. And, where is the confidence when India has witnessed a dastardly attack that clearly emanates from across the border, Pakistan? So the goodwill measures, if one might call it, or confidence-building measures don't stand at all. And therefore, India, in its right judgment and appreciation, has decided nothing doing. We don't want, to put up this facade anymore. So this ceremony has been, viewers, from now indefinitely suspended. There is more news break that is coming in. All right. News filtering in where a border security force Jawan has been detained by Pakistan Rangers after he accidentally crossed the Punjab border, and talks are on between the two forces to secure his release. Constable P.K. Singh of the 182nd Battalion was apprehended by Pakistan Rangers across the Firozpur border on Wednesday. The Jawan was in uniform and carried his service rifle. He was accompanying farmers when he moved ahead to rest in shade and was apprehended by the Rangers. A flag meeting is on between the two forces to secure the release of the BSF Jawan. The incident comes all, of course, against the backdrop of the Pahalgam terror attacks, with India taking a slew of measures against Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism on Indian soil. Jitendra Bahadur with me. There was a certain amount of aggression even coming in from Pakistan. Jitendra, what more can you add?
देखिए प्रीति, जो पाकिस्तान का जो पाक रेंजर है उन्होंने बीएसएफ के एक जवान को हिरासत में लिया है। ये कहा जा रहा है कि बीएसएफ का जवान फिरोजपुर पंजाब का जो बॉर्डर है, इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर पर किसान गार्ड के तौर पर, जो किसान गेहूं की कटाई करने के लिए उस इलाके में गए थे, जीरो लाइन के उस पार गए थे, उसके बाद जो बीएसएफ के जवान को पाकिस्तान के रेंजर्स के द्वारा उसको डिटेन किया गया है, उसको हिरासत में ले लिया गया है। कल दोपहर में इस घटना को पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स की तरफ से अंजाम दिया गया है। हालांकि जो बीएसएफ के अधिकारियों की अगर माने तो बीएसएफ के अधिकारियों की तरफ से जो पाकिस्तान के रेंजर्स के सीनियर अधिकारी हैं उनके बीच में बातचीत चल रही है। कई राउंड की फ्लैग मीटिंग हो चुकी है, 24 घंटे से ज्यादा का समय हो चुका है, लेकिन अभी तक जो बीएसएफ के जवान को पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स के द्वारा नहीं छोड़ा गया है। इस बीच में देखा जा रहा है कि जैसे जो पहलगाम की घटना हुई उसके बाद भारत ने जो कड़े कदम पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ उठाए हैं, उसके बाद जिस तरीके से पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स ने इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर के नजदीक ऐसे हमेशा जो भारत के जवान किसान गार्ड के तौर पर उस जगह जाया करते थे, लेकिन इसको बीएसएफ के इस जवान को डिटेन करना एक अलग तरीके की पाकिस्तान की मंशा यहां पर दिखा रहा है। और इस बात को लेकर के जो बीएसएफ के सीनियर अधिकारी हैं इस वक्त लगातार वो चिंतित हैं और जो पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स के अधिकारी हैं उनसे जो हॉटमेल पर उनकी तरफ से बातचीत भी किया गया है, साथ ही जो फ्लैग मीटिंग है वो भी की जा रही है, लेकिन अभी तक पाक रेंजर्स ने जो बीएसएफ का जवान है उसको उनकी तरफ से नहीं छोड़ा गया है। जी
जितेंद्र, पाकिस्तान ने भी अग्रेशन बढ़ाया है क्योंकि ये पहली बार नहीं है कि दोनों तरफ के रेंजर्स एक दूसरे की टेरिटरी में जाते हैं। कभी कभार ये रूटीन है और वापस इमीडिएटली करे दिए जाते हैं, तो एक अग्रेशन है जो पाकिस्तान भी इस वक्त दिखा रहा है।
बिल्कुल, पाकिस्तान का ये एक तरीके का एग्रेशन दिखाई पड़ रहा है क्योंकि भारत ने जिस तरीके से चाहे अटारी बॉर्डर हो वहां पर जो बीटिंग रिट्रीट सेरेमनी होती थी, इसके साथ ही वहां से जो आने जाने का गेट था उसको तमाम चीजों पर रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगाया, बंद कर दिया। उसके बाद ये देखा जा रहा है कि पाकिस्तान भी एक तरीके से एग्रेशन अपनी तरफ से दिखाने की कोशिश में जुटा हुआ है। यही वजह है कि पहले ये देखा जाता था कि जब भी कुछ बीएसएफ का जवान या पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स इधर भारत के टेरिटरी में आ जाते थे तो तुरंत ही फ्लैग मीटिंग उसी जगह होती थी जो उस जगह की बॉर्डर आउटपोस्ट होती थी, वहां पर फ्लैग मीटिंग होती थी और उसके तुरंत बाद जवान को एक्सचेंज कर दिया जाता था, यानी कि एक जगह से दूसरी जगह उसको भेज दिया जाता था। लेकिन अभी तक 24 घंटे के आसपास का लगभग समय हो चुका है। पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स के जो सीनियर अधिकारी हैं उनके साथ बीएसएफ के जवानों की बातचीत भी हुई है, साथ ही बीएसएफ के सीनियर अधिकारियों ने भी बातचीत किया है, फ्लैग मीटिंग भी हो चुकी, लेकिन 24 घंटे से ज्यादा का समय लगभग हो चुका है, अभी तक पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स ने इस जवान को नहीं छोड़ा है।
और शुक्रिया जितेंद्र हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। Thank you, my colleague Jitendra, getting us the latest updates. But lots of breaking news coming in, viewers, because there are dramatic developments, some small, some big, that are taking place on either sides of the divide, be it Pakistan and India. And the latest coming in from across the border is that spooked Pakistan warmongers are now being quite vocal. Pakistan Defence Minister has provoked once again, stating, "We'll hit back if India attacks." Pakistan Minister praises Pahalgam attackers. Minister Ishqdar says that attackers are freedom fighters. I want to cut across immediately to my colleague Geeta Mohan. Geeta, could you give us more information coming in? Who is this minister who's making claims, glorifying the attackers and then, by default taking responsibility?
Well, two press conferences took place. One is Defence Minister Khwaja Asif and the other Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Pakistan Ishqdar. And both of them very clearly, one deflecting treaty, saying that there was no involvement of Pakistan. Secondly, saying that if there is anything that changes because of the Indus Waters Treaty being held in abeyance, then that would be treated as an act of war. And then going ahead and provoking India yet again. So these provocative statements that are coming from Pakistan at a time when India has suffered at the hands of Pak terror yet again, at a time when a BSF soldier has been held by Pakistani forces, certainly is not going to go down well with New Delhi. Foreign envoys of select countries in batches are being briefed by the Ministry of External Affairs, none other than the Foreign Secretary himself. Not just talking about what happened, briefing them on the Pulwama terror attack, but also telling them, informing them that there is consequences that Pakistan will have to pay. And it's not just a first few steps of diplomatic measures, because that would hardly impact. Apart from the Indus Waters Treaty, everything else was anyway on a massive low, so that would hardly impact Pakistan. What they're looking at is military response, and it is justified, and that there can be no international outcry after knowing exactly what Pakistan has done. So these
Geeta, coming from. But Geeta, but what is really, really worrying, and it's bizarre that you have a minister who's outrightly gone ahead and praised the attackers who attacked hapless tourists in Pahalgam. It's bizarre that you have someone actually saying.
Well, absolutely, because look, where does it come down to, and how? What does it come down to, Preeti? It is not the civilian dispensation that is in control of Pakistan, especially not Pakistan's India policy. It is the Pakistani military and the Pakistani establishment. It trickles down from General Asim Munir. The statement that he made claiming Kashmir is a jugular vein for Pakistan, claiming that they're never going to leave the side of Kashmir, basically saying the terror forces that work against India and Indian interests, those are the people that they support, and that he avowed that they are going to continue supporting these forces who are fighting a so-called fight for the Kashmir cause. So it's
Defense Minister, and there's word coming in right now, has also practically stated, and of course this is all in the realms of speculation and what you call warmongering at a level, saying that India is planning, as per the Pakistan Defense Minister, terrorist attacks, multiple terrorist attacks across the country of Pakistan, and Pakistan will now retort in equal measure. The Defense Minister has gone ahead and even stated that if Pakistani citizens will not be safe and attacked, in terrorist attacks, then Pakistan will retaliate.
Absolutely. They can continue saying this, and they have said this in the past also. This is a very, very desperate and also fearful in a way, in many ways than one, Preeti, Pakistan that has already put its entire border security apparatus on high alert. They are expecting India to respond to this. But the response is not going to be just one surgical strike anymore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made it very clear, Preeti, that they are going to raze to the ground any area, any land that harbors terrorists. So Pakistan on high alert, these are just words. They're trying to tell India not to take any military measures, because that will invite a response from Pakistan. This is what is done as deterrence. So Pakistani statements, provocative, but also trying to act as deterrent. So India does not carry out a military response. But Preeti, at this juncture, looking at the terror attack, is quite determined.
All right, Geeta, appreciate you joining me. We're going to come back, and cut across to Geeta for more information, because what's happening is bizarre, viewers. But these visuals coming in, it seems a moment's silence is being observed at the all-party meeting at the Parliament there in remembrance of those who have lost their lives. 28 lives lost in the bloodbath at Pahalgam, viewers. And these visuals that were coming in seem to suggest that before the beginning of the all-party meeting, there has been a moment's silence that has been convened to pay homage to those who were slain in this dastardly terror attack. All of this, we're going to play those visuals out for our viewers in just about a minute. The all-party meeting clearly has started at the Parliament, and it started with observing a minute's silence to pay homage to those who were slain in the dastardly terror attack in Pahalgam. And across party lines, the leaders there observing that moment's silence in commemorance of those who have been killed. And hopefully, by the end of this all-party meeting, coming up with a resolve of action which will lead to deterrence where Pakistan is concerned, that as a country we never have to face this moment ever again. So the meeting, all-party meeting, is underway. The party leaders cutting across party lines, paying homage, paying tribute to those fallen due to terror in Pahalgam. 28 victims have been killed. 28 families will never know what their life has been before and now, completely torn apart, and all because of the scourge of terror. And these visuals now, of course, coming in, you can see on your television screen, you have Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, you have Minister of External Affairs, S. Jaishankar, J.P. Nadda, you have the Home Minister. The meeting, viewers, is being chaired by Rajnath Singh. The Defence Minister, sitting right next to him, is Mr. Kharge. Rahul Gandhi, also, who's the leader of opposition, also attending the meeting. You have Ram Gopal Yadav sitting right next to Rahul Gandhi. He, of course, is representing the Samajwadi Party. You have members of the TMC as well. You have Asauddin Owaisi. So all leaders cutting across party lines, coming together, and hopefully there will be a cumulative resolve that will come through political. You know, this is a rare sight that we've seen the government and the opposition come together, without any images or pictures which would somewhere down the line shame democracy, but a moment, and there couldn't be a bigger moment for this. It had to be something like this, viewers, because if they don't come together now, then when? And we can see that happening, where the opposition mostly has taken a stand that they are going to support the government, whatever decision the government has already taken and hopes to take, and also on what really went wrong. All right, let's, while we have our eyes trained on the all-party meeting which is taking place at the Parliament, there's news break now filtering in where the Israeli Prime Minister is concerned. Yes, there have been a slew of state dignitaries and state heads who have called the Prime Minister, expressing solidarity. The latest to do so is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who called Prime Minister Modi, strongly condemning the terror attack on Indian soil, expressing solidarity with the people of India and the families of the victim. Prime Minister Modi shared the barbaric nature of the cross-border terrorist attack and reiterated India's firm resolve to bring the perpetrators and their supporters to justice. The state of Israel, the country of Israel, is no stranger to terror and understandably connects with what India has actually gone through over the course of the last 48 hours with one of the worst terrorist attacks where tourists, hapless, innocent tourists in Kashmir are concerned. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called his Indian counterpart, Prime Minister Modi, strongly condemning the terror attack on Indian soil, expressing solidarity with the people of India and the families of the victims. Prime Minister Modi shared the barbaric nature of the cross-border terrorist attack and reiterated India's firm resolve to bring the perpetrators and their supporters to justice. Till now, practically, there has been condolences, solidarity, messages coming in from across the country, across the world. Also, you have, and that's the news that we are breaking, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has tweeted out a short while back, and that's the news that we are breaking next, where he said, pleased to meet foreign and security policy advisor to German Chancellor Jens Plontner.
के साथ ही वहां से जो आने जाने का गेट था उसको तमाम चीजों पर रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगाया, बंद कर दिया। उसके बाद ये देखा जा रहा है कि पाकिस्तान भी एक तरीके से एग्रेशन अपनी तरफ से दिखाने की कोशिश में जुटा हुआ है। यही वजह है कि पहले ये देखा जाता था कि जब भी कुछ बीएसएफ का जवान या पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स इधर भारत के टेरिटरी में आ जाते थे तो तुरंत ही फ्लैग मीटिंग उसी जगह होती थी जो उस जगह की बॉर्डर आउटपोस्ट होती थी, वहां पर फ्लैग मीटिंग होती थी और उसके तुरंत बाद जवान को एक्सचेंज कर दिया जाता था, यानी कि एक जगह से दूसरी जगह उसको भेज दिया जाता था। लेकिन अभी तक 24 घंटे के आसपास का लगभग समय हो चुका है। पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स के जो सीनियर अधिकारी हैं उनके साथ बीएसएफ के जवानों की बातचीत भी हुई है, साथ ही बीएसएफ के सीनियर अधिकारियों ने भी बातचीत किया है, फ्लैग मीटिंग भी हो चुकी, लेकिन 24 घंटे से ज्यादा का समय लगभग हो चुका है। अभी तक पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स ने इस जवान को नहीं छोड़ा है।
और शुक्रिया जितेंद्र हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। Thank you, my colleague Jitendra, getting us the latest updates. But lots of breaking news coming in, viewers, because there are dramatic developments, some small, some big, that are taking place on either sides of the divide, be it Pakistan and India. And the latest coming in from across the border is that spooked Pakistan warmongers are now being quite vocal. Pakistan Defence Minister has provoked once again, stating, "We'll hit back if India attacks." Pakistan Minister praises Pahalgam attackers. Minister Ishqdar says that attackers are freedom fighters. I want to cut across immediately to my colleague Geeta Mohan. Geeta, could you give us more information coming in? Who is this minister who's making claims, glorifying the attackers and then, by default taking responsibility?
Well, two press conferences took place. One is Defense Minister Khwaja Asif and the other Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Ishaq. And both of them very clearly, one deflecting treaty, saying that there was no involvement of Pakistan. Secondly, saying that if there is anything that changes because of the Indus Waters Treaty being held in abeyance, then that would be treated as an act of war. And then going ahead and provoking India yet again. So these provocative statements that are coming from Pakistan at a time when India has suffered at the hands of Pak terror yet again, at a time when a BSF soldier has been held by Pakistani forces, certainly is not going to go down well.
Welcome back. You're watching India Today. Meanwhile, the terrorists didn't just claim the lives of 26 innocent people. They struck at the heart of Kashmir's economy. It's tourism. This brutal attack has turned what's often called India's mini Switzerland into a ghost town. Once bustling streets are now empty, hotels lie deserted, shops remain shuttered. Flights into Srinagar during what is usually peak tourist season are arriving empty. Flights into Srinagar tell a story which is grim. The terror attack has shook the confidence of travellers, with many cancelling their plans. What was supposed to be a thriving season for tourism has turned into a dry spell. If you were to stand in Kashmir right now, the silence would be haunting. Hotels vacant, shops closed, taxis sit idle. The usual hum of tourism, the lifeline of this region, is gone. Never know when it will return. Locals say their hearts are too heavy to reopen. This isn't just about lost income, it's about lost peace, lost normalcy, lost dignity. The situation in Gurez is particularly tense. Roads from Bandipur to Gurez have been closed. Tourists have been evacuated from the valley. Access beyond certain points is restricted. Non-locals, including tourists and media, are not being allowed to proceed further. Security has been tightened across Kashmir, especially in tourist zones. Visuals from the police post in Patkut village, Bandipora, show the heightened state of alert.
We as Kashmiris stand with the state.
The team is traveling to Srinagar. Our main destination is Pahalgam, but before that, let me tell you, the flight now going towards Srinagar are almost half empty. Let me tell you, 32 seats, but only 117 passengers. We've been told by flight that these are seats which were actually full, but they're having last-minute cancellations. Several tourists on the plane, they do tell us that there's been a major concern as far as safety is concerned. So they're dropping out, leaving out Pahalgam, but they continue to do the journey because they're truly invested in this particular holiday of sorts. Remember, those who got killed were also looking for an amazing holiday. But at this point of time, there has been large concern and a huge economic setback to Jammu and Kashmir at a point of time where summer bookings were completely full, choke-a-book. But at this point of time, clearly there seems to be a huge security concern. With camera person Aman, this is Kamaljeet Singh.
After the Pahalgam attack, Kashmir has been on alert. Several tourist places are being vacated. Right now I'm here at Bandipora, Gurez Road at Patkut village, where the security, you'll see Jammu Kashmir police persons are deployed. From this entry point where Trigal is just 23 kilometers, no one is allowed to go further. Even only the people who are localites of Gurez are allowed to go further. And also there is a chance that militants can be in this area hidden. So search operations are also going on. Where the Indus Water Treaty has the impact on Gurez because there's a hydroelectric project that's been established there on Kishan Ganga river. With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Aman Bhardwaj for India Today, Bandipora.
Pahalgam, once the crown jewel of Kashmir's tourism, now wears a deserted look. 2 days after the deadly terror attack that killed innocent tourists and a local, the valley's tourist hub has turned into a ghost town. Hotels are vacant, shops shuttered. The entire buzz of tourism has vanished. This attack hasn't just taken lives. It has stripped Pahalgam of its spirit and livelihood.
This place was buzzing with tourism activity. They were witnessing a season that they have not seen in the last many years. But today, you'll only find forces, vehicles moving up and down, a lot of security. They don't want to open it, they don't feel like opening it because it is heart-wrenching. The trauma even they have gone through, because there is a sense of loss and there is a sense of letting down tourists, because they were guests of Pahalgam, guests of these people, they couldn't save them, and this was the sentiment across.
मैं उस टाइम ड्यूटी पे था, रिसेप्शन पे ही था, तो मेरे कुछ गेस्ट सुबह जो वो कल से यहीं पे थे, तो वो घूमने गए थे, 4 फैमिलीज थी, वो वहीं पे घूमने गए थे, तो जो ही वो वहाँ से आए, वो गार्डन में ही बैठ रहे थे, तो पीछे से सुनने में आया कि अटैक हुआ, तो जब उन्होंने भी सुना तो वो शॉक हो गए गेस्ट।
वो सोच रहे होंगे कि हम तो वहीं थे,
वो सोच रहे कि हम तो वहीं थे, उधर से आ रहे थे, उनके साथ बच्चे भी थे, छोटे फैमिली थी।
Flights into Srinagar are nearly empty as fear drives visitors away, leaving the valley shaken to its core. Once a symbol of serenity and welcome, Pahalgam now grieves in silence. A town brought to a standstill, its heartbeat stopped by terror. Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to quickly cut across to my colleague Mir Farid, who's joining us live from Pahalgam with the latest. Mir, what was 2 days ago, packed where Pahalgam was concerned, where Srinagar was concerned, packed with tourists, especially where Pahalgam comes into question. Now a ghost town. What are the locals telling you?
Well, Preeti, Pahalgam right now is deserted, the mood is somber, and locals are absolutely distraught. They're heartbroken. Yes, they have lost their livelihood. They've lost these tourists, the tourism season, but more than that, the sense of loss is different for them. It is the fact that they were not able to save their guests. Now, Kashmir, we know, is known for its hospitality, and people really are proud of their hospitality and the way they take care of their guests. In this case, they feel that these tourists, what they've gone through, is not only a loss for them, but it's a loss for Pahalgam. It is absolutely deserted. I spoke to people. They said that it will take a long time for the kind of tourism that Pahalgam was seeing, the kind of activity. It will take a long time to reinstill that confidence in security, safety in the minds of tourists, and the name Pahalgam, this attack will keep haunting it. So that really is the sentiment, and in fact, even today, Preeti, the shutters were down. There was no shutdown call, but these traders, the shopkeepers, say that they just don't feel like opening the shops. Their hearts are filled with pain, and it will take some time before this all sinks in and they can return to their trade. So that's the kind of sentiment. Hotels are absolutely empty, from being 100% packed and with bookings till May, June. Today, there is no one in these hotels. Taxis are parked. Ghodewalas, the stand is absolutely empty. So really sad scenes in Pahalgam. But yes, a message of defiance as well. When you see the stories of the Ghodewala who brought the tourist on his shoulder, brought him down in time so that his life could be saved. Then the other story of Adil Hussain, who fought with these militants, which is absolutely unimaginable in those circumstances when you have gunmen around, your life at stake, and he fought for the tourists. He tried to snatch his gun, but they shot him 4 times. I went to his residence. There was absolute tragic scenes, but the parents, the family is proud of him that he has kept the spirit of Insaniyat and Kashmiriyat alive. Preeti?
Well, you are right there, because sometimes when you stare at such dark clouds, it's important, even for a brief while, to reflect on that small silver lining. And these are the people who keep that hope alive. Appreciate you joining me, Meera. I'm joined right now also by Kamaljeet Sandhu, who's also joining us.